Tonight, after a call between Trudeau and Trump, a pause on tariffs between Canada and the United States. A northern Saskatchewan company teams up with a flies as food startup to provide fish guts as feed. Bundle up, extreme cold warnings across the province.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, February 3rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, thank you for watching. Canada and the United States have agreed to pause tariffs against each other for at least 30 days. The development comes after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke twice on Monday to U.S. President Donald Trump. But, as Olivia Stefanovich explains, the agreement was not reached right away.
And he can probably...
For the first time since returning to the Oval Office, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau not once, but twice today.
And we had a good talk in the morning.
But unlike his call with Mexico's president, who agreed to send 10,000 soldiers to the U.S.-Mexico border in exchange for a one-month tariff deferral, Trump didn't extend the same reprieve to his northern neighbor.
Look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state.
It took a second call between the two leaders for Trump to agree to pause tariffs for at least 30 days, while Canada cracks down on illegal migrants and fentanyl. But with the threat of levies still looming.
I'm angry and upset that we're being targeted in this way, and we are going to stand up.
For me, it's not a complete victory. For me, I still think that Mr. Trump want to attack Canada.
But there are calls for Canada to do more.
Immediately deploy military troops, helicopters, and surveillance to the border.
The idea of militarizing the world's largest undefended border, supported by Saskatchewan's premier, as a way to de-escalate the situation.
We also need to do what we can to work alongside our largest trading partner.
Instead, Trudeau says nearly 10,000 frontline personnel will work on protecting the border. Canada will list the cartels as terrorists, appoint a fentanyl czar, and spend $200 million on a new intelligence directive to tackle the illegal drug and organized crime. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
After weeks of advocating for de-escalation, Saskatchewan's premier is happy to hear the tariffs have been paused. For now, Alexander Quant has that story.
A trade war has been avoided, at least for now. Late Monday afternoon, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe welcomed the news.
This is a significant change, and it's a positive change, I think, for not just each of us as Canadians, but for all of us in North America, as we have 30 more days to engage on how integrated our North American economy is and how beneficial that integration is to each of us, wherever we live, north or south of the 49th parallel.
Trudeau says his government's $1.3 billion border plan will go ahead. Ottawa will deploy new helicopters and tech in an effort to stop the flow of fentanyl. It will also appoint a fentanyl czar and list drug cartels as terrorists. Actions all being welcomed by Moe.
There's going to be many conversations that will happen over the course of the next 30 days. The border security and the removal of the fentanyl, those are areas where we can agree. There will be other priorities and areas where we may not agree with President Trump or with what he might raise.
The news comes just hours after the premier met with reporters where he said, once again, that de-escalation was his preference. Moe does not want to see retaliation. Should the tariffs be implemented, the official opposition is asking for a stronger approach.
We're calling again for the legislature to be recalled so that we can respond to this attack. We are asking for all measures to be on the table.
Elected politicians on both sides of the border have spent weeks requesting exemptions. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley wants one for potash. U.S. farmers get about 80% of the key component in fertilizer from Canada. Almost all of it is mined in Saskatchewan. But one expert says the potential tariffs may actually present an opportunity for the province.
The U.S. is our major dance partner, but not our only one. So the ability for us now to explore those markets in Africa, in Asia, in South America, with the products that we have, I think when I see it from a business school perspective, again, if there is a bit of a glimmer for us right now, it's giving us that opportunity.
With most set to travel to Washington, D.C. this month, efforts to avoid the tariffs altogether are likely to continue. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Now, all of that said, Trump is expanding the targets of his trade war to include the European Union, threatening to hit the 27-state bloc with tariffs. Margaret Evans reports.
Ready or not, here he comes. That was U.S. President Donald Trump's message overnight, making it clear that the European Union should expect the same treatment on tariffs as Canada.
It will definitely happen with the European Union, I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us.
The U.S. is the European Union's largest trading partner, the EU selling more goods to the U.S. than it imports. Trump calls it an atrocity. Arriving in Brussels for an informal summit Monday, European Union leaders were bristling.
I think that we have to do everything to avoid this totally unnecessary and stupid tariff wars or trade wars.
If we're attacked on trade topics, says the French President Emmanuel Macron, Europe has to make itself respected and react. Across town at NATO headquarters, Secretary General Mark Rutte was grilled on unity within the military alliance.
Our two members, Canada and US, are on the cusp of a trade war. Do you fear the alliance is unraveling at the most fragile of times?
I'm absolutely convinced we can deal with these issues, and there are always issues between allies.
Trump seemed to indicate that Britain, now outside the EU, might win a reprieve because he gets along with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Prime Minister Starmer's been very nice. We've had a couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well.
Starmer, who joined EU leaders in Brussels for what he hopes will be a post-Brexit reset for relations with the EU, says Britain can enjoy strong ties with both the US and the EU.
One of the opposition leaders here, the Liberal Democrats' Ed Davey, has called on Starmer to convene a Commonwealth meeting to support Canada against what he described as a schoolyard bully. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
Oh, I would bet some cars in Saskatchewan did not start this morning. Mine made an ugly noise as blasts of wintry air wrap around us. Our weather guy, Ethan Williams, pops in for a look at what is going on. What is going on?
Well, good question, because, I think a lot of us are getting sick of this continual cold weather that we have seen at times throughout the winter. And part of the reason for this is the jet stream, our jet stream pattern, that upper air pattern, all that cold air trapped to the north, sinking down into Saskatchewan. And as we go through these next few days here, there will be somewhat of a reprieve, but that jet stream still to the south and some colder below seasonal weather is definitely continued to be expected. Now, we had some cold starts to Monday across the province, wind chills into the mid-40s from Kindersley through to Swift Current, including also in Regina and Saskatoon, as temperatures dropped into those kind of low -30s is generally what we were looking at throughout the night. And it looks like Monday into Tuesday, we are in for another round of that as extreme cold warnings remain in place for all of south and central Saskatchewan, including both Regina and Saskatoon. Northern Saskatchewan, you're looking at kind of similar lows into that -30 to 35 range, but it just has to be a bit colder to trigger warnings there. But regardless, Sam, some dangerous cold expected. I'll let you know just how long this is all going to last coming up.
Well, remember these days come July.
That's right, yes.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
The Saskatchewan government is investing $3.8 million over the next 2 years to address gender-based violence. The money will go to 16 agencies through the Federal National Action Plan to End Gender-Based Violence. It includes money for transition homes and second-stage housing facilities and providing learning resources on healthy relationships. The Minister of Status of Women says they will be focusing on root causes such as resource deprivation and poverty.
We focus on the prevention and interventions in order to help with gender-based violence. As Saskatchewan, as we announced, our government announced in our election platform, we are working towards keeping Saskatchewan as the most affordable place to live.
Ross says the funding helps them achieve those goals. Justice Minister Tim MacLeod says the announcement is in line with the recommendations made in the recent domestic violence death review. That review looked at cases between 2015 and 2020. A frosty weekend in Regina did not stop people from checking out the annual Frost Festival. Victoria Park featured snowboarding rails with a competition on Saturday night, a massive game of croquet curl, ice sculptures, and fire pits. Meanwhile, sled dogs, a petting zoo, the skating rink, and outdoor games kept people entertained at Wascana Park's hub. But on Sunday, frigid temperatures did force the closure of the downtown hub. We'll have more on the weather coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. An Ontario father says he is struggling to keep his teen son away from drug dealers on Snapchat. Ethel Musso with our Go Public team looks at why some say the social media app is ripe for drug trafficking.
It's an app known for its fun filters, but one Ontario parent warns Snapchat is also where illicit drugs are sold.
I'm trying to keep my son safe while these drug dealers are manipulating him because they're reaching out.
We're not identifying Roger to protect his son's identity. He says his 15-year-old has been buying drugs on Snapchat, but tracking that has been difficult for one main reason. Messages on Snapchat are deleted once they're viewed by the recipient. It's a unique feature of the app that makes it nearly impossible, say some parents, to monitor illegal activity. Getting access to drugs on Snapchat isn't just a problem here in Canada. In the U.S., relatives of more than 60 young people who've overdosed on drugs allegedly purchased on the app have filed a lawsuit that claims Snapchat's role in illicit drug sales to teens was the foreseeable result of the designs, structures, and policies Snap chose to implement to increase its revenues.
I think that Snapchat's executives belong in prison.
Sam Chapman is one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit. His 16-year-old son, Sammy, died in 2021 after overdosing on a pill he purchased on Snapchat. Chapman says his son didn't know it was fentanyl.
The dose that killed him was delivered to our front yard like a pizza after we were asleep, and we found Sammy dead on the floor.
Family Center. Snapchat says their parental control features allow parents to see who their child is talking to on the app and to report any concerns. The company also says it uses artificial intelligence to shut down the accounts of drug dealers. But this youth activist says it's not enough.
All of your messages and the photos you send, the stories you post, disappear after 24 hours. It creates this black box of social media where you don't have any record of what you sent.
And that has Roger in constant fear that his 15-year-old son will overdose.
I cried driving past a cemetery because I started thinking about, okay, if my son dies, how are we going to do this?
Roger says his focus now is keeping his son safe, and with Snapchat, it continues to be a challenge. Ethel Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
A northern fish company has made a deal to use its fish waste to feed flies instead of dumping it at the landfill. Energine is an agricultural tech company that will take fish waste from the Île-à-la-Crosse Fish Company. Liam O'Connor explains.
Energine was started in 2020 with the goal of making food out of flies. For research and testing, it set up the North American Insect Center at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon. The goal is to turn fly larvae into products like pet food and other animal feed, and that's done by drying the black soldier fly larvae and processing it. The new deal with Île-à-la-Crosse Fish Company will provide unused fish waste to feed the black soldier flies before they lay eggs.
Certainly it'll be impacting the community in having a sense of pride in what we're doing, because even now with the Île-à-Crosse Fish Company, they've always taken a sense of pride in being a sustainable company. But this is just a certain community pride that's going to come out of this partnership.
Roy also says, by all indications, the fish waste is the best feed for the flies. Currently, the operation is in a pilot phase. The fish company is trucking around 350 kilograms of fish guts, traveling 465 kilometers from the northern community to NRG's Saskatoon lab.
Not only the company, but our people in general have been always about sustainable development and conservation. So we're excited about having a value-added product such as the fish waste to be used by NRG.
NRG says the deal is a win for the companies, communities, and the environment.
It was a perfect combination between us and them to bring something which is more circular economy, which is more sustainable, and really helping both our company and their communities.
The partnership has been in the works since last summer, but the ultimate goal, according to NRG, is to build a facility right in Île-à-Crosse near the fish company. Liam O'Connor, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. We're not talking about bugs when it's this cold.
Nope. A little too chilly for that, I think, for most of, well, even for humans, it's a little too cold, I think. Yeah, temperatures, of course, struggling to get out of those minus 20s throughout the province. This is about the best we did for Monday across the province. Minus 25 in Regina, minus 26 in Stony Rapids. You can tell from north all the way to south. From west to east, temperatures pretty similar when it came to just how warm things got. Added a little bit of wind, and you've got things feeling closer to minus 40 in parts of southern and central Saskatchewan, especially where we saw those gusts up around 30, 40 to start Monday, and they've sort of been dying off ever since. That's because an area of high pressure has been starting to move into the province, and not only has that been taking the winds down a little bit, but it's also been clearing the skies for many of us, and of course, that's what's been reinforcing those very, very cold temperatures. But those clear skies about to go away for some of us because that area of high pressure starts to diminish a bit as we get into early Tuesday morning. And by then, a little bit of snow from a system that is moving through the northern United States is going to start moving into southwestern and portions of west central Saskatchewan as we get into early Tuesday morning. Cloud cover starts moving in generally through the southern part of the province, but we could start seeing that as well into some central areas, kind of a mix of sun and cloud in the Saskatoon area. The snow through Tuesday mostly going to be falling south of the Trans-Canada, but then we get into early Wednesday, and that's sort of when the next round of that snow begins to fall. It's some heavier amounts, again, moving into western parts of the province early Wednesday, and then by mid-morning, that's moved almost all the way through southern Saskatchewan, including in the Regina area. And we get into Wednesday afternoon, and another round of that starts wrapping around back into central areas, including Saskatoon, before that begins moving out as we head into Thursday. So generally, I think these amounts that you see here are a bit on the high side. I'm not sure we're going to get into that 15 to 20 centimeter range, but I would say probably a good bet that a lot of us here are going to get maybe again in that 5 to 10 centimeter range. Tuesday, we'll have a better idea of how things are likely going to be playing out, but those totals may just be a little bit on the high side right now. A little bit of wind expected for southern portions of the province as that system moves through, but again, I think it's really the far north where we're going to see winds pick up Tuesday, and Wednesday that could cause a little bit of some blowing snow out on the roads as that snow moves through. So for right now, I've said that Regina will maybe get a chance of some flurries Tuesday, then a good 5 to 10 centimeters Wednesday. We do get a bit of a reprieve from the cold weather as that system moves through, but then as things clear out into Thursday, that's going to feel probably closer to minus 30 with that wind as we continue to stay pretty consistently below normal into the rest of the week. Saskatoon, I'm going to call it about 5 centimeters for you as that system moves on by. Then we get the clearing skies and the temperatures will kind of get a bit of a bump up here with a chance of some flurries again on Monday, but the overall pattern, Sam, for, well, the first part of February anyway, calls for below seasonal conditions continuing.
It's, I have nothing nice to say, so I'm going to say nothing at all.
Yeah, do what your mother taught you, right?
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
From the football field to the hockey rink, it was Team Getzlaf over Team Lawther in the 3rd annual Rough Rider Foundation Winter Charity Classic, a hockey game in Saskatoon over the weekend. Ian Schaefer-Baker was the coach behind the squad that won for the first time 9-6. Lawther's team had won the 2 years previous. Proceeds from the game go to the Rough Rider Foundation's Win with Wellness presentation series. That is where player ambassadors visit schools across the province talking about mental health. We'll be back after the break. Sunday was Groundhog Day, a chance for the weather-obsessed to take a whimsical look at what might be in store in the coming months. And Canada's famous weather-predicting critters were at odds over spring's arrival.
We will have an early spring.
Ontario's Wyerton Willie reportedly did not see his shadow, which is good news for people who are tired of winter weather. But Nova Scotia's Shubenacadie Sam and Quebec's Fred Lamarmont did see their shadows, meaning a delayed spring. Lucy the Lobster, also from Nova Scotia, also saw her shadow too. As tradition has it, that means 6 more weeks of winter. Did Ethan see his shadow on Sunday?
Well, you know what, Sam? In Saskatchewan, we don't use the groundhog. We use the wonderful squirrel here that you see in Susan McDonald's backyard. And this squirrel says he's going nuts for the rest of the winter because I think we're in for some cold temperatures, or at least over the next 24 hours or so as we go, well, not Thursday into Friday, you can ignore that. That's Monday into Tuesday, that should say. And we're down into the minus 30s overnight as those, again, we could see a little bit of some increasing cloudiness in southwestern Saskatchewan, but otherwise partly to mostly clear skies for many of us province-wide. Not getting much of a reprieve, unfortunately, in northern Saskatchewan as we go through the day. A bit of increasing cloudiness, though, in the far north. We could see some flurries there as the winds start to pick up. That'll really make it feel into the minus 30s. A little bit of snow beginning to move into the southwest early for the commute, but then that begins to die off. Again, most of it will be falling south of the Trans-Canada, but much of the rest of south and central, we're looking for a mostly cloudy day, save for the northern grain belt of the province. And Sam, some strikes and spares were had Monday at Golden Mile bowling lanes in Regina as myself and other members of the Regina media went up against bowlers from Regina Blind Bowling. It is the 52nd annual bowling championship held during White Cane Week. This year, the media had just enough points to win, the third time they've done so in as many years. White Cane Week raises awareness around the challenges facing those living with vision loss. It's held annually during the first week of February. And I will say I had some pretty stiff competition from Graham on lane 5. I think he definitely beat me out at least one of the games for sure.
I love that event every year. I'm glad you got a chance to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that is it from us. For more news anytime, you can head to our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.